Sanam Wahidi, Vice President of the Afghan Women's Organization in Victoria, is now joining us on the broadcast. Thanks very much, Sanam, for being here with us. 2 decades ago, under the Taliban's first regime, women and girls were banned from pursuing education and playing sports. Yet again, the Taliban say women's sport is neither appropriate nor required, prohibiting women from playing any sports. As someone working for the rights of Afghan women, what was your reaction when you heard about this?
Thank you for having me. This is just a testament to the exact thing that we Afghans were telling the world. The Taliban of 2021 are not different to the Taliban of the 90s. For the Taliban, women and girls do not have value in society, and it is hard to have hope when we know that the Taliban will continue their violent and oppressive regime against women and girls. For Afghan girls, sports are not just sports. It is liberation, it is activism, and it is a source of empowerment. And most importantly, it is their right. Those women and girls were the face of the new Afghanistan. And as long as the Taliban are in power, we do not have any hope for women's sports in Afghanistan. We have been told that all female athletes are in hiding, fearing Taliban persecution. Sports is not the only thing that Afghan women are being deprived of. They are not allowed to work. They are not allowed to receive an education. They are not allowed to protest their rights, all things that they worked so hard for 20 years to achieve. So there is not much hope to hold on at this stage.
Right, it takes a lot to defy the Taliban, and women have been taking to the streets against the Taliban, demanding their basic rights and representation in the government. The Taliban have no women in the cabinet, but they say they will deal with the issue of women's rights later. What do you make of that?
According to many reports, 17 out of the 33 cabinet members are designated terrorists sanctioned by the UN. They promised an inclusive government which has not been upheld. Even if they do announce more positions, it will be internal members of the Taliban. There are no women that have been announced in this cabinet, and as long as the Taliban regime are in power, women will never be appointed into leadership positions. And it's so unfortunate because this is the same Afghanistan that had 27% female representation in parliament just last month. We stand in solidarity with our Afghan brothers and sisters protesting their fundamental rights and freedoms right now. They are a representation of the courage and the bravery of the Afghan people. And from what we are seeing and hearing, the Afghan women and girls will not submit to the Taliban's oppression. And like I said, as long as the Taliban are in power, there is very, very little hope that we Afghan people have right now.
Now, world leaders have repeatedly said that the Taliban should be judged by their actions and not their words. What is your view on this stance?
We Afghans do not recognize the Taliban as a legitimate organization or government. They have invaded Afghanistan as a proxy group and do not uphold the values, beliefs, cultures of the Afghan people. We implore the international community not to recognize the Taliban and their interim government. The sentiments echoed by the Taliban do not reflect what is happening on the ground. The Taliban and Pakistan's ISI right now are committing war crimes against the people of Panjshir and Andarab. Right now, as we speak, the Taliban are massacring innocent civilians in Panjshir, cutting off their supplies to food, medicine, and electricity. They are brutalizing journalists and violently repressing protests. They are executing people across the country. Today, the Taliban cut internet services in Kabul to limit their access to the outside world. The Taliban vandalized Norway's embassy in Kabul. They are halting evacuation flights in Mazar-e-Sharif. I think that these acts are enough for the international community to understand that the Taliban will not change. The governments across the world must not recognize the Taliban. They must work to support the Afghan people and uphold their moral obligation to work and to act now.
Sanam Wahidi, appreciate very much for joining us here on WION World is One. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.